Here's Werenski. Now Jack Hughes puts it around McCarr. United States with numbers. Walk across it comes. Jack Hughes wins it. The golden goal for the United States. For the first time since the 1980 miracle, the United States takes the gold. Jack Hughes beating Jordan Bennington.
A golden goal for a golden moment.
Right here, baby. I'm tugging on the sweater.
As John Lopez alongside Reginald Hughley here in the loop on this Monday. John wearing his New Jersey Devils sweater. That the significance of that is Jack Hughes, when he's playing stateside, plays for the Devils. But in that moment, wearing the old U.S. of A sweater and helping the U.S. reach the pinnacle of international hockey, at least when it comes to the Olympics, with a gold medal in overtime, 3-on-3 overtime over the, your vaunted rival in Canada, especially Russia not playing. And for the first time since 1980, you heard Kenny Albert say that on the NBC broadcast, the United States with a gold medal again. Man, what a moment. What is the significance of this moment? Because you would know that. You've covered a lot of these types of matches, a lot of international sports in general. Can you put into context for us the magnitude of the moment? Because I think everybody could just get into the USA and the excitement and the making fun of Canada, losing their own sport. This is their sport.
This is the NFL times 2.
Making fun of them losing their sport to America in this moment. But what's the significance from your perspective?
All right, so I was in high school for the 1980 Olympic gold medal, and I remember traffic stopping. I can put myself in that place. I was with my dad going somewhere, and traffic was pulling over, listening on the radio, because it was just like this. It was actually in the morning, then they replayed it at night, and people honking their. This is in San Antonio, Texas, man, in 1980.
Where's the 1980 Winter Olympics played again?
Lake Placid, New York.
That's right.
But it was played earlier in the day. It wasn't like Europe, but it was played at Lake Placid.
I didn't remember that. I should have known that.
And so there is nothing that's ever going to compare with that. Zero, ever. But I think you can make a strong argument that this was, in terms of broader impact and significant impact for the sport itself, because obviously the 80 Olympic team, it built 2, maybe 3 generations now of American hockey players that can play at the highest level. I think this is going to take it to an altogether different level, simply because it was so much more accessible. First of all, it wasn't grainy television. It was beautiful. The images, the pictures, the graphics, the clarity of it all, it's like you were there, and it was so impactful. It just that alone made it so big. And then there's the game itself. When you had, now the Americans are not by any stretch an underdog team, but they were the underdogs in this game,
right?
And they were playing against Canada.
I mean, the only thing that Canada had as some level of stub toe is that Sidney Crosby wasn't there. But you look at their third line, and that would be an incredible line in NHL hockey. Yeah. And we're talking about later down. They just stacked with talent, and you saw it on the ice. They looked incredibly talented outside of finishing when they had open nets, but they looked fantastic.
And having covered the Olympics for such a big part of my life, I'm very plugged in and in tune. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm in tune with what a true hero does for a country. I wrote a book about it, with Kerry Strug. Yeah. And I remember some of the great heroes of, Carl Lewis, when in L.A. and all these other things. So the heroic aspect of it, and I use that loosely. I know people are going to say only heroes are in the service or what. I get it, but the heroic aspect of it, of not just Jack Hughes, but Heliduc, and doing it like that, that's going to resonate for decades. I mean, I think it was that impactful. In fact, to the point where I was asking you guys before the show, I think it could be the most impactful, not to the same degree, but impactful since 1980 and the Olympic hockey team. Only 2 events I think are in the same category as what we saw yesterday. Number 1 is the 1992 Dream Team.
Yeah.
That impacted the world.
Strong agree. I mean, it built out international hockey. The reason why we see so many international players in this current era, you can trace directly back to Barcelona in 92.
To the Dream Team. And then the other one is the 99 Women's World Cup Championship.
Yes.
Those are the only 2. And so maybe you can say those were bigger or whatever. I won't argue with you. But I think for this sport, that it was already on the brink of becoming the superpower, with Canada and Russia. I think it could take them there. I really do. I think it's a generational type
think
win.
So?
I really do. The hockey itself, as much as baseball has become a regional sport, hockey is growing. It's all over the South. It could impact Houston. I mean,
that's the thing that I found interesting. I'm interested. 713-572-4610, the base power text line.
Mm-hmm.
The question I had in some of the moments watching the scenes afterwards, Connor Hellebuck, who's fantastic in that game as well. But did this ignite an itch for you, Houstonians, for some NHL hockey? Because for me, before I had an opportunity to come back to Houston, I was in Dallas, where they have a hockey team, so you have to cover them at times, especially when they go on a run. And those moments when you dig into, where you really jump into hockey, you dive in, it's incredible. Playoff hockey in specific is some of the best. It's the best playoff sport that I think we have in major American sports, and I don't say that lightly, considering the NFL playoffs is what it is, right? And we have a lot of fun once we get to MLB postseason. I still think that those pale in comparison. As you saw the gut-wrenching excitement that happened in the later portions of the third period of that gold medal match, and then you get to 3-on-3. The 3-on-3 overtime, and I know the feelings that people were having if you're watching social media, which is not the end-all, be-all, but it's a small subsection. Yeah. You could see the way people are latching onto that, and I was like, I can't wait for the possibility of that happening in Houston, where you have an opportunity to, come April, go, well, shoot, they're playing big-time hockey, and I really want to go to the barn and see what's happening there. Like, this really ignited that for me, and I'm like, revive the arrows, man.
And that, yes, 100%. But that also leads to the other reason I think it's going to be so impactful, and it was so awesome. It was just what an awesome day to watch sports. That game in particular, I mentioned how the visuals. It had the flag. It had USA on the chest. It had the heroes, with Hellebuck and Jack Hughes.
Hellebuck.
Hellebuck. What did I say, Duck?
Yep.
It had blood on the ice. It had teeth on the ice. It had grit, and I don't use that term lightly because I know it's a cliche, but it definitely had like legit grit. And here's the final element that I think is the most important one. You mentioned playoff hockey and NFL ratings. And television ratings and stuff. I think this is going to have an audience as big as any NFL playoff game.
This game itself.
The eyes alone.
In trying to tap back into the iconic nature that you're establishing for this, the question I have in my head, and I don't have a great answer to it, admittedly, is what will be the knock-on effects of this? Does this draw in more of America? Because you mentioned this ends up being somewhat regional, even in the cities at least past. Once we get out of the Midwest, right, and the East and the Midwest, you get to some of these cities like Miami, like Dallas. LA is probably not quite. Probably LA as well. These audiences are kind of niche. They operate in such a way where they've got a small subsection of fans, but they've got passionate fans. And I wonder, does this allow the fandom to leak out a little bit further to where hockey can capitalize on it? Also, I do know when you talk about the iconography of this, the one thing I know is going to last, buddy, that picture of the Hellebuck save.
The save?
Oh, my goodness.
That's what I'm talking about, the visuals.
That one I think is going to last in the same way that you think of a Muhammad Ali and you know exactly what photo I'm talking about. I don't even have to start describing it, right? There's certain photos, Michael Jordan hitting a free throw line jumper. You know exactly what, you can see it. I do wonder if people will remember the name Hellebuck specifically, but if we talk about the save from that Olympic gold medal in 2026, everybody's going to know exactly that picture, how iconic that image.
That's what I was talking about with the visuals. They just resonate. And then, of course, even beyond the ratings and the millions and millions of eyes, billions really when you talk about around the world, but we're talking about the impact here. You won. That's the thing. You have to win. And they did it.
Is that the lesson for all the other things that we want to make stick, right? Is it the the Texans want more respect? Well, when you win. Right? All of these other ones, when you win, it changes this dynamic.
Yeah, that to me is going to resonate. I think it's right up there. And I was lucky enough to have been there courtside at the Dream Team, and what it impacted, and the eyes and the faces, and how people reacted to that team in '92. I think it's every bit, if not more.
It was incredibly fun match. And I think it makes it better, and maybe this is a hot take, I think it makes it better that I was watching that match and very much believed that Canada was the better team.
Right.
I'm looking at Canada smoking wide open nets or opportunities where they have a number of shots directly in front of the goal, breakaway opportunities that they're not able to put away. I think it makes it better. I cannot wait. I said this on social media. I cannot wait for the documentary, and you know my stance on biopics, the biopic about this moment, like Miracle on Ice, because it's coming, and it should, because this was somewhat, I mean, it's not to say that they were, some level of poor, no chance side, but this was an upset that is notable, and I can't wait for the legend of this to grow over time.
Real quick, I do have an answer to Connor McDavid and all those bozo Canadians. I love you. All those bozo Canadians.
You can't say those in the same sentence.
I do love them, but that say, well, they were, you decide. That's what he said, right? You decide who was the better team. I got an answer. I got a question for you. The goalie is part of the team, right?
He is.
The goalie he's in uniform, right? He's part of the team. Well, who was the best goalie?
In that game, it was 100%.
So don't come at me like,
on his head.
Oh, we tilted the ice and we had control and we had our Yeah, you did. That doesn't make you the better team. You might have had some control, but the team with the best goalie, who is by far and away the most important player on the ice every single hockey game, was on the American side.
I think you made the retort a little too hard. My response would have been, yeah, you're probably a better team. Who's got the better medal?
Yeah, well, not only that, but like they're acting as if the goalie was not part of the team. Oh, we were tilting the ice. I don't care. Oh, I almost said a bad word. I don't care what that you were tilting the ice.
We need to end this. All right, you're in the loop here on Sports Radio 610.